Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Okay, so this image, one of these things is not like the other. Why don't you explain what this image is?
When we were talking before, some of the reason why I decided to then go follow my artist career, I realized back in the day in 2006, I already started doing collaborations with schools.
Wow.
So schools invited me to do what's called artist residency. I don't know if you've heard of those.
Yeah.
Basically invite an artist to work on a project with kids generally.
Wicked.
So I'd done a couple already when I was still employed by the company of architecture I was working for, and I took holidays to do those jobs.
Oh, nice.
But then they started they kept coming, so I thought maybe there is an extra market that I can, take a look at. And since then I did, I think 15 jobs, 15 artist residencies with mainly international schools, which normally have bigger budgets. They are a little bit more privileged. And I worked in Korea with a university in Korea.
Oh, wow.
I worked in Italy. I worked in Malta.
Wow.
And did a bunch here in Hong Kong, Hong Kong International School, both KELETs, 2 ESF schools.
Oh, great.
So this photo is one of those collaborations. This specific one is in Kowloon Bay with the KELET down there, but I did 15.
So by choosing the photos that you sent to me, you're doing you spent a while thinking about which ones to send. You curated it, right? And so on some level, whether it was conscious or not, you chose an image that it's not especially in focus, but the content inside. So you have 3 girls that have similarly long brown hair in tied ponytail, pigtails, whatever. They're wearing these blue smocks over these pink dresses. You're kneeling and I guess you're holding paint in a small bowl. You're kind of just looking aside at this one girl who's kind of looking at you, and you can tell that she's got maybe a smile on her face, and you're just looking at her like, okay, what's going on here? And you have the backs of these 2 girls who are looking at you, so you can't see their faces, and behind is this very long. How long is this mural?
This was, I think, 540.
Okay.
And 175 tall.
540.
Tall as me.
Okay.
And almost 6 meters long.
Okay.
Almost.
Okay. So another one.
Big, also big.
Right. And this was in the school?
This is in the school, still hanging there.
Wicked.
So I've done 15, roughly that size.
Right. And how long ago was this?
This could have been either 2017 or 18. I can't remember.
Okay.
It's one of the first 5 collaboration, not the very, very first, but yeah. So I did a few like this, all big and with different numbers of students, different mix, different ages. The biggest one was 1 month long. These are quite long residencies, maybe 3 weeks, sometimes 2 weeks. The biggest one was with the Hong Kong International School down in Perched Bay, 4 weeks. Almost 900 students.
Wow.
Or 800 students.
Wow.
Something that when they told me, I thought, yeah, we can do it. And then every day, I think I needed a stretcher to get me out of the school. I was destroyed. These are great kids, but they will suck your energy for sure. You have kids and
Yeah.
So very intense, beautiful. They taught me a lot. When we were talking about techniques before, I learned a lot from them.
Nice.
I must say, they taught me a lot.
That's
maybe more than I thought.
That's interesting.
And then sometimes I reduce the numbers. There's a sweet spot that I think is 200 probably. It's also very interesting to mix the ages.
Right.
Having small ones doing the first phase when it's more messy.
Yeah.
And then as you refine it, having older.
Okay.
I think the best year is what they call year 6.
Okay.
I don't know in the American
Yeah.
But anyway, they still have the spark. They have the technique. Maybe a little bit older, they become a little bit more, stiff or, although it can be also interesting to work with young university students, which I've done in Korea. It was also very interesting. So no limitations. You can do it with different groups.
Right.
And every time it was a fantastic experience for me.
Wow. Okay, so your life here in Hong Kong is you're an outlier. You're a little bit of a weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
What's good about my podcast is because of the subject. Sometimes I speak to conservationists and I speak to other artists, artists in residences. Like I've met a few artists who are like some are commercial photographers and they're doing it's amazing. But you're an outlier in that you're a practicing living artist here in Hong Kong. How much of your brain is focused on, because in a way it's like owning a restaurant. Somebody who starts a restaurant, they love to cook.
Yeah.
But running a restaurant is more about running a business than it is about cooking.
Yeah.
Right? So how much of what you're doing, like how much of your brain is dedicated to your creative?
Yeah. I see what you. Well, when I enter this as a business, like you're saying, I realize, being a painter, being an artist is not just about painting. That part, I loved it and I knew. I don't know about the rest. Suddenly it opens up many things that I have to do. I felt comfortable and confident when I realized that I loved each aspect of it.
Yeah.
So suddenly it's not like I love painting, but I hate fixing my website or doing some PR or
meeting with
clients.
Yeah.
I loved it all.
Yeah.
So every different side of it, I loved it. What I realized, I would love everything as long as it doesn't become just a routine. Right. Like architecture probably had become towards the end. If I did this collaboration with schools, one back to back, one after the other, would go crazy. Yeah. These things you need to do one and rest for 2 months.
Sure. Of course.
Mentally.
Of course.
And then you need to just focus and paint by myself quietly.
Right.
When I cannot do that, I want to write one of those stories in the book.
Right.
Or I like to go to talk to my framer.
Right.
Or I like to, screw the frames onto the paintings and hang them and put holes in the wall or be drinking wine at the vernissage. Right. I like it all. So I like the variety.
That's cool. So what, you look relatively fit. What kind of, you go hiking? What do you do?
I go hiking.
Yeah, that's it?
Not so much. I went actually for a big hike Sunday to Lama. Okay. Very nice at the back of the island. Beautiful. Sure. When I came back to Hong Kong on the 8th of March last year, so exactly 1 year.
Wow.
At the beginning of one is really, we don't know what to do. I don't want to meet too many people, so I was just going hiking. Yeah. Maybe at the time I was fit, if you want, because I was going every day. Right now, every once a week, so not so much, but I do.
The reason why I asked that, the connection to that is that I find that, especially with hiking, I really feel it myself, is that the first hour of a long hike is like just getting the junk out. It's kind of like in terms of my rhythm, in terms of my pace, it's just like my muscles have to warm up, and then it's kind of like, oh, okay, and then I hit my groove, and then I can go, right? Similarly, in terms of a project that you have, what would you describe is the getting the junk out? You have a new project coming up to you, and we're in that stage. Are you have to kind of, you just have to get into the rhythm of it? Does that question make sense? Maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe it's a stupid question.
Actually, it's less glamorous, less artistic I wish it was like, the artist just going into the right mood and maybe with a little bit of wine, etc. at night. And I did it before. I used to do it there with the light at night after work. But now it's more organized. Okay. It's more in the morning, from this time to this time. Yeah. Very, very organized. Okay. So there's not too much glamour
it's not about the glamour. It's more about how do you understand your own creative moment? So, you know what I mean? Like,
I think, the base of paintings is something that these paintings take me quite a long time. So what I think I need to do is to keep putting time into them. Maybe one day is an hour, and then I work on another painting. Okay. And maybe one day is 2 hours. And what I do, because I've done it so long, it comes pretty natural. Right. I can pretty much do 2 things. I listen to audiobooks. I don't have to think about it. It just goes. Yeah. I listen to audiobooks and I'm doing another thing, I can't. My brain just...
Sure.
But this one I can do it. So it's pretty simple. I don't have to be in a special space or in a special moment of inspiration. When the paintings is almost ready, and then I would just focus and try to finish, maybe that's when all the junk goes away and I really focus in a more creative way to just finish it off with some touches.
Okay.
That's not the build-up of trying to bring the painting to the stage when it's almost done. So it's a lot of preparation and a quick closure that's more creative, what I think you are suggesting.
I don't even know what I'm suggesting. It's always interesting to hear different people's process, how they ended up in this. So looking at your parents, for example, how did your parents influence this side of you?
I don't know, because in my family there's a lot of doctors. They're all doctors. Okay. So different. I mean, my father likes art. Yeah, he's an art collector. But I don't have memories in which art or music or the creative world there's a specific part in my family. Sure. What I remember is that since I was a kid, I always liked to draw or like to look at images. And I always had quite a good imagination to imagine things. So I was born like this. It's not like...
So the thing with photography is that the machine, in a way, defines, depending on how you use the machine, you can manipulate the machine to get a different visual result or artifact or whatever you want to call it. With classic painting, you've got the pigment, you've got the, for example, you're talking about how oil in this kind of climate isn't easy to work with, so it's better to work with acrylic. In a way, painting is a lot closer to manipulating color and shape, and yet you're using a lot of collage, and you're using a lot of, it's not geometric, but it's a very contained, like the hillsides are chaotic, and the buildings are more formal, So did your artistic development come through the architecture school, or did you actually develop that?
Well, yeah. Now that because you mentioned photography, I should say my father worked for AGFA, which is the producer of film. Yeah. So for sure, I was surrounded by cameras, film, and eventually he's the one who got me that old machine to develop myself. So for sure, the influence is coming from my father in this sense towards photography. So that was present in my life since small. Cool. Yeah, of course, the career, the school of architecture, of course, exposes you to a lot of art and culture, for sure. There are exams about art, history of art, and then we go back to what you were saying about Italy. There's, huge books about all the history of art of Italy. So that must have influenced me, although I was already grown up at that time. Yeah, so a combination of those, a combination of my just predisposition to be a little bit interested in drawing besides the technique, because I think I just have enough technique to do what I want to do. I don't have any special technique to do anything very refined or I didn't do any courses to be, so my technique is limited, let's say, in a certain way. And when I was working as an architect, because I liked to draw, I think my boss saw that in me, and during the presentation I was always doing those architectural sketches. You do the renderings to show how the building is, and then you show a couple of sketches to see how people will go through. You humanize it. Humanize and populate the building. So I was always doing those in the part of... and I think that was also interesting because it gave me an idea how to collage different things. I was collaging in Photoshop. Right. But then you can apply the same principle on a physical painting. Yeah. I had my library of people, my library of trees that I built up over the years, and then I would place them and do a sketch. And so maybe that also contributed in the way that I love how to do a cityscape. Sure. So I don't know, it's hard to tell. Sometimes it's good that you ask me because I start thinking and suddenly I find the answers. Yeah. But there are answers.
And look, it's I think sometimes you can also look in your navel and eventually you'll find something. So, you know what I mean? Like it's...
Thank you. I have to thank you because I was doing a terrible job to explain it, but you are taking the answers out of me.
You did it beautifully. No, I'm just saying, like, I'm putting you in the uncomfortable position to say, okay, now look at yourself and explain what, you know, in a way, it's like music. It's like, well, maybe I'm just making it because making it is the process, is the result. Like, you know what I mean? Like painting itself is both the result and the practice, and maybe you don't need to explain it. Is that okay?
Yeah. Perfect. I know one more thing about myself.
Look, dude, so people can check out your website, obviously.
Yeah. So website is www.francescolietti.com. Yeah. Can check my social media. I can send you the links later.
All be in
the book. If anyone is interested, it's on Amazon. Very easy to get. And I got a show currently in the Park Lane Hotel down here.
Nice. So for the people in North America, London, South Africa, and Australia, just hop on a plane and come over. That's wicked. I love it. Thank you so much for inviting me here. Grazie. Thank you so much, man.
There you go.
So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.